Good morning, students. Now let's start the applications of the Newton first law. In previous video, we understand what is the Newton first law, according to which we know that the body has a tendency to remain at rest, or if it is moving, it's continue to move until we apply some force on it. So this tendency of the body is called the inertia. The inertia are of three types. I explained you in last lecture that it can be the inertia of motion, it can be the inertia of rest, it can be the inertia of direction. So these are some applications about the Newton first law of inertia. First one, you should remember that the inertia depends on the mass of the body. Greater the mass, the greater will be the inertia. The first application is, if this is a glass tumbler and you keep a paper over it, paper or the cardboard over it, and place a coin on this paper, and if suddenly you flick this card by your finger, like this, just like you flick the flick in carom board. Suppose you are flicking this card, what will happen? The coin will drop into the glass tumbler. So why it happened? We should understand it that this coin has inertia. Since it has a mass, so it has inertia. What happens if we flick this card? After flicking this card, actually when we flick this card come in motion. But due to inertia, due to the tendency of this coin to keep at rest, this coin remain at rest due to inertia of rest, and this coin drop into the glass tumbler. And if we flick this card, what happened? This coin is drop into the glass tumbler. So this is all about the all due to the inertia of rest. More examples of this inertia are, again the one question can be come in your mind, that if the body had a tendency to continue to be in the state of motion, or it try to remain at rest, then why when we riding a bicycle and we stop paddling this bicycle, then why this bicycle stop after traveling certain distance if we stop paddling the bicycle? So this question can be coming in our mind. Again, the question is, if we stop paddling the bicycle, why this bicycle stop? Since we know that according to inertia, the body had a tendency to remain at rest or continue to be in motion. If it is in motion, then why this bicycle stop? So the force which act on it when we stop paddling is the friction force. So due to this friction force, the bicycle stop after traveling certain distance if we stop paddling it. Now other examples. Second one, when a hanging carpet is beaten with a stick, the dust particles start coming out of it. You have ever seen at your home that mama hang the carpet on the wire and beat it with a stick. And by beating this carpet by using the stick, what happens? Actually, the dust particle which is present in the carpet comes down. So we will try to understand why it's happened. Actually, when mama or someone beat this carpet with using a stick, what happens? This carpet is at rest, and the dust particle which is present in this carpet is also at rest. If we beat it with using a stick, what happens? This carpet come in motion with its stick. So this carpet come in motion with a stick, but the dust particle remain at rest due to the inertia of rest. This dust particles have the tendency to remain at rest. It has inertia. So due to which the carpet moves in this direction, and since the dust particle do not move at all, so they moves down due to the gravity. So this is the next example of another example of inertia of rest. Some more examples of inertia are when a tree is shaken vigorously. This is a tree having lots of branches, and suppose we shake this branch vigorously. What will happen? We saw that most of the leaves fall down. So we can understand why these leaves falls down when we shake it vigorously. Actually, by shaking the branches of the tree, since initially the tree and the leaves are at rest due to the inertia of rest, but when we vigorously shake the branches of the tree, what happens? These leaves which are at rest initially will remain at rest due to the inertia of rest, and these branches come in motion when we shake it. So हो क्या रहा है कि branches तो motion में आ गई, लेकिन जो इसमें leaves लगी हुई थी they are at rest. So due to this, they detach from this branch and falls down due to the gravity. Okay. Another examples. When a car or bus starts suddenly. This is a very most common example. So if a bus starts suddenly, the passenger falls backward. So suppose this is example of your school bus, and you're not aware that the driver is going to start the van or your school bus. So what happened? If this school bus starts suddenly, I think I should also write the name of your school, Horizon. Okay, so this is your school bus and this starts suddenly. What happened? You falls backward. So why it happens? Initially you are here on this chair, or we can say the seat of the bus. So you are here on the seat of the bus. What happens? When the bus driver start the bus suddenly and you are not aware about it, then you falls in the backward direction. Then what happens? Because your foot are in contact with the bus floor. So when the bus starts suddenly, your foot, since they are in contact with the bus, they start moving. But your upper portion, your upper body, since it is not in contact with the bus, so it remain at rest due to the inertia of rest, because you have the mass and your body has a tendency to remain at rest. So you due to the inertia of rest, you falls in the backward direction. So these are some examples of the inertia of rest. So again, the second part is the inertia of motion, according to which if a body is moving, it continue to be moved until we apply some force over it. Like in the example of this bicycle, if we are riding the bicycle, this is stop. If we stop the paddling the bicycle, because the friction force is applied on this bicycle, due to which it's a stop. Now there are some examples for the inertia of motion. The first one is when the car or the bus starts suddenly, the passenger, sorry, when a running car or the bus stops suddenly, the passenger are jerked forward. Suppose this is your school bus and you are here in your school bus and the school bus is moving, or suppose in the road, on this road there is some animal, like there is a cat, or there can be a dog or a cow. So what happened? Your driver has to apply brake on this bus. So suddenly the driver applied the brake on the bus. What happens? You falls in the forward direction. Then you should understand why it happened. Suppose you are in bus. So you are here in this bus. This is the seat of the bus and you are sitting here. The bus is moving forward, so it means your whole body is moving in the forward direction. And if the driver has to apply the brake on this bus, since your foot are in contact with the bus, they stop suddenly with the bus. But your upper body, due to the inertia of motion, it is in motion, and due to this you falls in the forward direction. So this is one of the example of inertia. Some examples for the third part, that is the inertia of direction, according to which if a body is moving in a straight line, it continue to move in a straight line until we apply some force on it. So this is inertia of direction. So it means a body is moving in a straight line, will continue to move in a straight line. So there are some examples for the inertia of direction, like when the car or the bus turn a corner sharply, we tend to fall in sideways. You have ever seen in your car or in bus, if you take a turn and you are not aware about it, then what happens? You actually falls in the other direction. So why it happens? Suppose you are moving in this direction along with the car or the bus. So it means your body is moving in this direction, in this straight direction. And if a bus or the car take a sharp turn, then what happened? Your upper body, your upper part is continue to be in this direction, is moving in this direction. But the car, since the car has taken a sharp turn, so your body moves in this direction. So this is one of the example of the inertia of direction. Same as if it is dangerous to jump out of the moving bus or the car. So okay, we don't jump out from the car. we generally jumped out from the bus. So it is dangerous to jump out from the moving bus. Why? Because if you jump out from the moving bus, what happens? Actually, the bus is moving, and your body is also in motion with this bus. If you take a step on this floor, which is at rest, then your upper body, which is in motion with the bus, continue to in the state of motion according to the inertia of motion. But you step on the floor which is at rest, so your upper body is continue in motion with the bus. And since your foot are in contact with the floor which is at rest, so your foot in rest again, so your foot is in rest and your upper body is in motion. So what happened? You will falls in the direction in which the bus. Okay, so you moves in the direction in which the bus is moving. Other example for the inertia of direction are, you have ever seen the mud guard behind the wheel. So these mud guards are provided for the dust, for the mud which is stick to the wheel. Due to the inertia of direction, this mud which is stick to this wheel is always moves in a tangent direction due to the inertia of direction. That's why the mud guards are provided behind the wheels. So these are some examples for the inner application. These are some applications of the Newton's first law. Now for the second law, we should understand what is the momentum. So I already explained to you that what is momentum? A body which has the mass as well as the velocity would have a momentum. And momentum is denoted by the symbol P. Since it is a vector quantity, so we have to represent it, sign or arrow over it. And momentum is equal to mass multiplied with the velocity. It means the product of the mass and the velocity is called the momentum. So a body which is moving with a certain velocity, and if it has a mass, then it will also have a momentum. So now the Newton's second law. According to Newton's second law, Newton's second law, it's very important law. It is really a very important law, according to which if a body has some momentum, okay, or if you want to change the momentum of this body, it means it has a mass, it has a velocity, and you want to change the velocity of his body. So it is very easy to understand that if the body has a greater mass, we have to apply the more force, or if you want to change the velocity with a large amount, you have to apply the more force over it. It means the force is directly proportional to the change in momentum, mv minus mu. जितना ज़्यादा वेलोसिटी को चेंज करना चाहोगे, आपको उतना ज़्यादा फोर्स अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा उसी तरह से जितना ज़्यादा मास होगा बॉडी का उतना ही ज़्यादा आपको फोर्स अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. तो मास एंड वेलोसिटी इज कॉल्ड द मोमेंटम. सो वी कैन से द फोर्स इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द चेंज इन मोमेंटम. Greater the change in momentum, greater the force you have to apply. Same as if you want to change the velocity, if you want to change the momentum in a short period of time, you have to apply the more force. Or if you want to change the velocity or the momentum in a long period of time, you have to apply the less force over it. So it means force is inversely proportional to the time. So if we add both the equations, we will find that F is directly proportional to the mv minus mu upon t. So this is the second law, according to which we can say that the force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum, but the important condition is this: the force should be applied in the direction of motion of the body. So whenever someone asks you about the Newton's second law, you have to write the law as well as these all derivation which has come with the Newton's second law. So according to Newton's second law, we can say that the rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the applied force takes place in the direction of the motion of the body. So F is directly proportional to the mv minus mu. Here, one more important thing is you have to write all the meaning of the symbols, like let m is the mass of the body which is moving with the velocity of initially u, and after applying the force F in t time, its velocity changes to v. So initial momentum is mu, final momentum is mv. So we can say the change in momentum is mv minus mu. So according to Newton's second law, we can say that F is directly proportional to the mv minus mu. And we can take m as a common. It will be v minus u upon t. From the first chapter, we know that what is the v minus u upon t? It is called the acceleration. So again, in the statement, you have to write that suppose the acceleration of the body is a. So we can write it like m into a, where you have to show that a is equal to v minus u upon t. So F is directly proportional to the m into a. We have to remove this directly proportional sign by using a constant. So here we are using a constant k into m into a. In SI unit means standard units, the value of the k is 1. So we can say F is equal to m into a. This is the Newton's second law. Okay, F is equal to m into a. So Newton's second law is not only to write the definition or the law, but we have to write all these derivation with this second law. It is very important. It has a lots of application also. So before going through the applications, first we are talking about the force. Force, what should be the SI unit of the force? Since the mass is the unit kg and the acceleration has a unit meter per second square, so the unit of force should be kilogram meter per second square, or we can say it like Newton, on the name of the scientist Newton. So force has a SI unit kilogram meter per second square, or we can write it like the Newton, represented by using the symbol capital N. Force is a vector quantity, has a magnitude as well as direction. And some applications of the Newton's second law is, one of the application is when you catch a cricket ball, fast moving cricket ball, you have ever seen that you moves your hand in backward direction. Suppose you're catching a ball, then what will you do? You will move your hand in backward direction. So you can easily understand it that you do it so that your hands do not get hurt, but you should know why it happened. Now just think, this is a ball which is moving at a higher velocity. Okay, so it means it has a momentum. Since it has a mass, it has a velocity, so it has a momentum. Now this ball is coming towards you, and suddenly you catch this ball. So what happens about this mass? Its mass don't change, but the velocities come to 0. So what are you doing? Actually, you are changing the momentum. You are changing the momentum. Since the body has initially some momentum and the velocity becomes 0 when you catch it, so it means you are changing the momentum. So if you change the momentum, then some force have to be applied. Now if you suddenly catch this ball, what happened? Actually, you are taking a smaller time for changing the momentum up to the 0. You are changing the momentum to 0 पहले कुछ मोमेंटम था, आप उसको ज़ीरो कर रहे हो और यू हैव टेकिंग अ लेस टाइम, since we know that f is directly proportional to the change in momentum upon time. So suppose this value is a constant value because the body will have some velocity which is constant, and finally it has to become zero. So it has a constant value. So suppose I'm taking like this is 10. Okay. And now suddenly catch this ball. Suppose you catch this ball in 1 second. Or if you move your hand in backward direction, what are you doing? You are taking the time for it. So suppose you take the 5 seconds to stop the ball. Now, in which case the force is maximum? In this case, the force is 10 Newton, and in this case, the force is only 2 Newton. It means the force which can hurt you is larger when you take a less time to catch this ball. आपने थोड़े टाइम में बॉल को कैच किया, थोड़े टाइम में, तो क्या हुआ, आपके हाथ को ज़्यादा हर्ट हुआ. जब आपने ज़्यादा टाइम लिया कैच करने के लिए तो आपको कम हर्ट हुआ. सो इस तरह से कुछ एप्लीकेशंस है. देयर आर सम एप्लीकेशंस अबाउट द न्यूटन सेकेंड लॉ. One more example, one more application of this law is the jumpers are provided with the heap of sands. Jumper means the person which jump on the floor. Actually, you just understand it. Suppose you jump on the floor. Okay. The high jumpers are provided with the heap of sand. So suppose the runner has to jump on the floor. This floor is hard. Okay. And in second case, the floor is not hard. It is some muddy, or we can say it is a heap of sand here. So in which case the jumper will be hurt more? In this case, the jumper will hurt more. And you can understand it on this basis, like the jumper has some momentum when it is moving towards the floor. So it has a mass, it has a velocity, so it has a momentum. When it jump on the floor, its momentum will become to zero because the final velocity will become zero. Now, when he jump on the floor, the time taken to change the momentum up to the zero is really very less. So that we know that if the time is less, the force will apply more. In the second case, if there is a heap of sand, what will happen? The jumper will jump over it and he will come to the rest in large time. देखिए वो अंदर तक जाएगा, उसके बाद जाके रुकेगा, बिकॉज ये क्या है, ये मडी एरिया है, फ्लोर नहीं है. तो इट मीन्स द मोमेंटम विल बिकम जीरो, विल टेक सम टाइम. So if we increase the time to change the momentum, it means the force applied will be less. So in second case, the momentum, change in momentum is same. In both the case, change in momentum is same. But here, the time is more as compared to this one. So we can say the force applied, the force applied, or we can say the hurt on the person will be less as compared to the when he jump on the cemented floor. So these are some examples and applications of the Newton's first law and the Newton's second law. Okay, in the next videos, we will understand the Newton's third law as well as some applications of the Newton's third law and some numericals based on the chapter we will study in the next videos. Okay, till then, bye.